You can't buy Tokumbo cars now. Tokumbo is going for 10 million. So sometimes I'm so scared for the young people. How will they survive? Being a banker in Nigeria doesn't guarantee that you'll be a banker when you get to America. Don't necessarily follow all those lovely things you see online. The reality might be different, but I believe there are more opportunities here in Nigeria. You see young girls, they don't even know how to be respectful. You see young guys, okay, you are brilliant, you're everything, but it's soft skills that makes the difference. You know, I remember when the new banking thing, the haywire bank started, and you will see a young graduate calling the MD by name. I was like, this is another dimension.
Ambassador Folakemi Akinleye. How are you, madam?
I'm good. And you?
Well, I'm fine.
Good.
I really am
Good.
fine. I'm really fascinated that it's not every day that you get to sit down with somebody who has been a double ambassador of sorts. You were an ambassador of this great country to Cambodia, is that correct?
Philippines and Cambodia concurrent accreditation.
Yes.
Yes.
How did you juggle all that?
For me, I think the most important thing is your values. And for me, the fundamental thing is, how do I do good for my country if I have the platform? So setting out on that journey, it's like, I have to do the best for Nigeria. This is the only country I know. So putting in extra effort wasn't an issue. So it was even exciting, because sometimes it's tedious, but because you see, I have a goal, it's about Nigeria. We have to make Nigeria great. You have to make Nigeria look good to the outside world because we are good and great nation. So that was the driving force, really. So, and it was exciting. It was exciting. And for me, traveling, it's one of the things I love to do, because I've worked in the service industry, international service industry, in the travel sector. So I've always traveled. Sometimes I would decide, okay, let's go. Where is the next thing? Singapore. Okay, let's do Singapore next week. So it's just like a continuation of what I love to do.
It's brilliant, but how did it start? I mean, did you always have this love for travel? Did you start traveling as a young lady, or where did the drive come from?
I think it came from my father, because my father was an education officer in the old Western region, and he was always traveling. The now Ekiti, Ondo, everything was under the old Western region.
No doubt.
So it was like, okay, this week we are going on inspection to Ekiti. So who is coming? We are going to Oshogbo. Who is coming? And we lived in Abeokuta for maybe about 5 to 6 years.
What part of Abeokuta?
Interesting. Right opposite the General Hospital.
Okay.
Shokenu.
Okay.
Because our school is Baptist Girls School Idiaba.
Ah, beautiful.
And we had to walk to school.
The
the interesting thing is, when we are walking to school, our headmaster was in his car. And he will tell us, if I get to school before you. And it's like, how do we do it? But it was fun as children. So it's always been a journey of traveling for me. So it's like, oh, okay, another level of traveling. This one is. So this one is with more responsibility. And that makes it accountable and it makes it fun. It was fun.
So it's, we're having this conversation in a month that is, Women's Month,
yes,
and all of that, and especially career women who have gotten to great heights in their career paths, and usually the conversations are the same. How did you do it? Did you get support? How about family? Were you able to? I mean, did you get married? How did your husband take it? Did he support you? How about did you have kids and all of? So, what was your experience?
I think most times, and I think I've shared this with somebody just this evening, that we all need each other. And for me, I've gotten a lot of help from women folk. It's like standing on the shoulders of your sisters. So for me, it's just like I try to do my best for people as well. So maybe it's like what you give comes back to you eventually. So for International Women's Month, I think I would just say that women should just, personally, I don't believe in this feminism that I can do stand alone. No, I don't think so, because as a Christian, I know the role of a family, and family is a man and a woman, and there are rules to the game, So, and if you get it right, with that triangle of man, woman, and God, I think it makes life very, very easy. So every other thing flows,
In your work as a diplomat representing your country, I mean, what you just expressed now, have you felt any kind of antagonism because of your stance, especially in the Western world where they don't, larger groups of people no longer buy your analogy of family being a man, a woman, and children, as was originally. Have you found yourself on the receiving end of people who are more radical in their views of what they call modern family?
It's a very sensitive topic that you just don't throw it open. But you let people express themselves. And in a nice, loving way, you make them realize that this is your stand. You have nothing against what they believe, but this is your belief. And this is working for me. So I think it's important not to try to push our own ideology to people, but let them realize the importance of, for you, what you are saying, this is how it's been for me, and this is how it's worked for me. And I believe that since I'm a Christian, for me, it's important just to follow or told the laws of God, So
I align with you completely, particularly your approach to some of these problems. So it just reminds us all that times have changed, haven't they?
You can say that again. You can say that again. Honestly, you can say that again.
You and I were reminiscing about the good old days, and how much has changed and how drastic the changes are becoming in this era.
And it's scary too.
Yes. And in today's world, if you're a parent, you are worried. If you are not a parent, even if you're a grandparent, if you're fortunate that your children have grown, before the times, perhaps they are older now, but they too have kids and they have worries everywhere. How do you perceive the more aggressive changes that you observe into this world amongst people in general, the way people approach things, the way people treat each other, the way people just seem unopen to any sort of agreement, and what it was like when you were growing up?
Honestly, it's really scary. I share something with you. A few weeks ago, a friend we were at a dinner table, and one of the ladies said, "Look, because growing up is like you have to learn to share, learn to do this together. Growing up, children learn to share. Give your brother, give your sister." And she said that she was in our daughter's house, and our grandchildren were playing, and the younger one wanted something from the older one. And the older one said, no, I'm not sharing. And she's the grandma and saying, no, learn to share. And our daughter said, no, she should learn to fight to get what she wants. And I was like, wow, things have really changed. So where are the values now? Sometimes you wait, like, yes, what is in the system now, it's more of aggression to try to get what is your right, but I don't know. Honestly, I really don't know how to deal with some of these things, and you see young girls, they don't even know how to be respectful. You see young guys, okay, you are brilliant, you're everything, but it's soft skills that makes the difference, please, thank you, not anymore. That's when, I remember when the new banking thing, the Haywire Bank started, and you will see a young graduate calling the MD by name. I was like, this is another dimension of this 21st century. So everything is changed that I think I'd rather still be this old self and teach people around me, not only my children, those soft skills that makes the difference. Honestly, it's scary, but I think we should not throw away everything with this new technology thing. Use technology, but don't let technology change everything around you, so that we won't be mechanical in what we are doing. Honestly,
I know you've been a very strong voice for women. Support, empowerment, and equal opportunities. You don't necessarily refer to yourself as a feminist in the in the traditional context, but you do care deeply about women and opportunities open to them and rights there that they deserve, don't you?
Yes, I do. I was actually sharing a few minutes ago with somebody my experience when I was in the Philippines. We were at a function, and it was a cultural thing, and they brought people from the province. That's what they called outside the city, the provinces. And they brought a lot of young girls, and they were all dancing like our own cultural dancing and everything. And after the event, we now had pictures, and the young girls, we had pictures with them. And one of them walked up to me and said, "Are you an ambassador?" I said, "Yes, I am." And she said, "Do you think I can be an ambassador?" I said, "Sure, you can. Stay in school. Stay in school. No teenage pregnancy. Focus. And then you will get it. You will get it." So it's important for us to let... I believe that she must have asked that question because maybe they're already trying to say, look, once you finish this thing, this is the next thing you are doing. I think it's important to let our young people know that what they are worth, but in a nice way. You don't have to be aggressive about it, because that's what I see these days, that a lot of women try to prove that I can do it on my own, I can do it. No man is an island. Whether it's a man, whether it's a woman, somebody will be there to help. So I think it's important just to make people believe that it's possible, but you don't have to be aggressive about it. Yeah, it's important.
You were appointed ambassador by former President Buhari.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
To both Cambodia and the Philippines.
Yes.
And I wonder whether, when you look at it, do you feel that progress is incremental when, in terms of women being supported, being pushed to the forefront of the national discourse internationally? We've seen women rise to positions of authority in many countries. I was taken aback when I was listening to a conversation yesterday, and it dawned on me that in the whole of the country's National Assembly, there are just about 4 women there. Is there something that we're missing in this part? When you look at, for instance, the Joint Congress of the U.S. and when the American president did his last address, you could see just the number of women sitting in that aisle and in Nigeria, so few.
This is interesting because I think, was it earlier this week on Arise TV, there was something along this line. And the guest speaker said, look, it is expensive. So it's not anybody that can get into the Senate or into the House of Rep. So I think the government needs to be intentional that, look, we've agreed to Beijing conference acclamation about women. Let's at least give women this number of seats. Once you have that, it will be easy because I tell you, where will you get 50 billion to get into Senate? Where will you get it from? So I think it's governments really making it intentional in their policy, and I know this present administration is doing that. I know the government has said that about 30% is will be for women. So it's government really pushing and helping to make it possible. Because if you leave it to the terms of the rules of the game, I don't know how many women can afford 50 billion to get into the Senate.
I can imagine. I can imagine, which makes me want to talk about classism in Nigeria, but maybe I'll come back to it. Nigeria has operated without ambassadors since September. Was that September of
October, and from November, because everything
of 2023.
2023, yes.
Yes. Just this week, there were reports that the government has started vetting potential candidates to lead its more than 100 diplomatic missions again. I hear that appointments will probably be made very soon again. And this is already a year and a half after the president recalled the country's ambassadors. And just sitting down here, you've been an ambassador to this country. The question is, just look into your crystal ball. Who are we sending out?
Committed Nigerians that love Nigeria. That's the most important thing. If you love your country, you will do everything to make it. So for me, I think that's the most important thing. Because I think it's an opportunity out of the population to get to that. So if you have that platform, give it your best. Give it your best. And it's all about Nigeria, and it's about prosperity. So I think that for me, that should be the watchword.
Are you still open to serve the country if the call comes?
The most important thing is the recognition that you want to serve, and you have the platform. So I think it will be a great thing and a thing of joy to serve Nigeria again at that level. It will be.
So let's talk about classism and a bit of feminism. You've got to, because I know that these are topics that are of interest to you. These are topics that you are passionate about. In this country, the gulf is ever widening. It's a global phenomenon. But the gulf between the haves and the have-nots has exponentially increased over time. And I wonder what your thoughts are when you pay attention. What are the things that keep you awake at night that you just bother about? You look at these things along these lines and you say, hey, where is this country going to?
You know what? This is interesting. The question is interesting. The first thing is, how will the young people come in, survive? A graduate, how much is he going to earn? If he lives in Lagos, where is he going to live? If rent is going for 10 million, 15 million, how much is his salary? Okay, if he can't afford to live on the island, he lives on the mainland, when is he going to get up from home to leave to come to work and resume at 8 o'clock? You can't buy Tokumbo cars now. Tokumbo is going for 10 million. So sometimes I'm so scared for the young people, that are coming. I know a few of them are okay, they are survivors because they are in tech, but not everybody will be in that sector. Even the civil servants are important. They are important to the system. So how will they survive? So it's scary, but I know that the government is it's doing a lot. They're trying to do transportation. They're trying to do 3 days work and 2 days, to make things easy. But I think there is a conscious effort on everyone's part, both private and public sector, to really work to make things easy. Maybe there will be mass housing. Maybe there will be more public transport system, something just to make people feel, because like in America now, you don't even need a car. You can go on the train, you can live in New Jersey and arrive in your Wall Streets. Within 1 hour, you're at work, you park your car and then you go home. So all those things, I think what we need is to be very intentional in our developmental approach so that we can be systematic in what we are doing and not try to do everything at once. Let's be systematic so that we can say, okay, let's do housing, let's do transportation, hospital, so that, because if you try to do everything at the same time, it might not work at the same time. But sometimes I feel really sorry for the young people. Really, really, that things are really. When I was a trainee auditor, it's 25 kobo to take a taxi from Unike to CMS. Now I don't even know if you do, but you're on your own. Or your salary will go. And God help you, you have your white shirt and you decide to go in any bus before you get to the office, So it's really, really, boggling sometimes for me personally. And I feel sorry for the young people, that really want to do honest job and don't want to do Yahoo, So how do we encourage them?
So you would agree that it's increasingly harder for honest young people who do not want to lead a life of crime to really make ends meet.
It is. That's the truth. And that doesn't mean if you're on band A. If you're on band A, that's now petrol. So it's really, really tough.
The whole band A thing is a totally different because more and more people are being pushed, being promoted to band A.
I love that. It's promotion.
and some
it's promotion.
Some people say, well, anyway, let's leave that conversation first.
Yes,
but we'll go back again to touch on that about women. We just mentioned that how tough it is for young people who want to be upright. The economy. The global economy puts women at a disadvantage on a general scale. All the indices, the data suggest
true.
that. So if we are here, how does this impact young women, especially young women who do not want to run after the fight, who care about if there are still such women, and I believe
definitely.
Those women young women still exist who don't want to sell their bodies or sell their integrity to the highest bidder or anybody with a flashy car who can give them a trip and all of that. How do you see these young people in this context of survival at a time when the economy is brutal?
Yeah. I think the first thing is the value with which they've been brought up, and then they need mentoring. I think it's important for and that's where we have all these women bodies. If we can do more of mentoring, guide these young ladies, and but it's also important because I think value starts from homes. I know it's tough, it's really tough, but I don't know whether this was all those content creating story, but I heard about a little boy that was selling granite. And they wanted to buy all the granules and gave him more money than what the cost of what he's selling. And the guy said, no, my mom will beat me if I go home with this much, So there are still people that still have these values. It's important, but I think it's important for, and that's where I think the church comes in, the mosque comes in, so that we can
religious institutions.
Exactly. We need to really help our young people to really understand the value of having values, because sometimes they don't even care because there are no values. Everything, it's about money. And I don't think that's a good way to go through life, to think it's all about money, because you won't know where to put a stop to it. You will just derail somewhere along the line. And there's always a price to pay for everything. That's the truth. Whether it's negative or positive, there's always a price to pay. So it's really a challenging times we are in.
You know what you said about that kid, and it just reminds me of my childhood. Our parents were very, they were very, very intentional. And I remember in school, even if the school engaged in agriculture, maybe like what used to happen, you plant crops and it's time for harvest, and they share maybe corn, give you your own. I remember I used to be scared to go home because taking that thing home would probably mean my dad will be in school with me.
Unless you have a good explanation to support it.
And then you give, they shared it, they gave it to us in school. Or are you sure? Okay, I'll be in your school tomorrow to ask whether it was indeed.
Oh my God!
So that, as a kid, with that kind of backgrounding, you just knew that there was no taking what was not yours. Even if you borrowed something for your friend, they would, did you borrowed it from your friend? Are you sure?
Are you sure?
I need to ask him. Did you willingly give it to him? And but we see quite the opposite now.
I'm telling you, I remember when I was in primary 3, these 3 pens. Mm-hmm. These 3 pens that has a...
The one that has a hole in it.
I found one and I took it home.
My dad had
and
a
I showed my
collection
father.
of those coins.
And my father said, go and return the money from where you found it. But you know what I did? When I was going back, I saw one woman frying plantain. I bought plantain with the money.
And you had to clean your...
I didn't know my father was looking from upstairs. And then he said, my dear, come. What do you have? I said, plantain. Where did you get this from? He said, I bought it. Who gave you the money? That was the money he said I should return. I didn't return. So life is so funny. Children will always be children.
Yeah,
and that's why I said value is important. Because at the end of the day, the man beats the daylight out of me. And I never, ever, So it's important for us to still instill these values in our children, So it's just sad that the challenges are different. I must say the challenges are quite different, because when we finished university, there's so much you can do, so much. But now, the employments are not there, and they need to survive. And sometimes the parents are just waiting for their children to come out of the university and get a job and pay them back. But I'm happy that the federal government now has this educational thing for students, which I think is helping. There was a program 2 days ago talking about it, that over 200 students have benefited from it, at least to pay through their school fees. And I think it's a good development, what we are seeing in Nigeria.
So back to the whole situation and the fact that young people tend to resort to fraud, Yahoo, to make ends meet. As an ambassador of this country, and it has had crippling effects, has rendered some damage to the reputation of the country itself.
True.
Have you experienced this firsthand, where you felt or you've heard people say that Nigerians, the image of the country is bad because of the perception of fraud, high incidences of fraud amongst Nigerian young, and if that's the case, if you were, what would you say to a young person today?
From what I experienced when I was in the Philippines, because we had quite a few Nigerians in jail from all sorts of criminal activities, including drugs, including scamming and everything. One thing we realized, because I worked with my team very much to really try to resolve some of these things, is that some of these people don't even know. When they start off, they will say, okay, you are going to school, we get you a school, we get everything. When they get to where they are going, there are no schools. Because it's like it's a syndicate. So there are no schools and they need to survive. So before you know it, they said, okay, we have a job for you. And the job is to lock them up in a room where they are playing with computers and doing online scamming. So you've seen this firsthand. And that's why it's really, really disheartening to say that our youth just want to leave Nigeria at all costs because they really don't believe that they can make things happen in Nigeria. Unfortunately, all those things they think it's happening over there is what they can do in Nigeria. They can do farming. You can do everything in Nigeria with little or no stress than going abroad, not knowing what to do, not knowing the rules and regulations of the country where you are going, and then ending up in jail. So it's just I think it's a Pandora's box that when you open it, you don't even know what is going to be in there. So I don't know whether it's not the government alone that we do this. It's the parents, the family, the society. Because it's like the society now is all about money. It's the one that has a G-Wagon and all these things that everybody is hailing, So I honestly, I think it's something that we really need to work on a real social level to see. As an ambassador, they won't talk to you directly that you are this, but you know what they are saying without saying anything, But it's left for you now to really come out to really flaunt the good ones. Because in the same society, there are really many good Nigerians that are doing great things. So those are the ones you will talk about and you showcase, and then you keep their mouth shut. You have to play the game of diplomacy in most of these things.
Most certainly.
Yes.
Yeah, but for somebody who is so widely traveled and who enjoys traveling, what would you say about this whole Japa syndrome? Like you mentioned, you just said there are opportunities here that young people can tap into. But when you talk to young people these days, I start...
Femi, do you think we should be talking about Japa? When already in recent times, you are talking about people that sold everything, got there and nothing. And they are regretting it. So I don't even think it should be a topic anymore. I think Japada should be what we'll be talking about now.
Okay, that's
honestly. Japada. That's what you should be talking about.
Yeah, but then again, you know what they say. You can preach it from the rooftops from now till tomorrow.
Know until
there are people who will say, okay,
yes.
I mean, people see videos of the number of Nigerians in places like even in different parts in the US, Nigerians on the streets who can't even afford decent accommodation. Many Nigerians who've disappeared for a long time and their family members barely hear of them. They can't find them. You don't even know whether they're alive. And many of them are on the streets. They see these videos, they see these things, but they still say, well...
You know why?
Anything is better than Nigeria.
Because what they see is the picture online that has me standing beside a Ferrari and a 10-room mansion that if I default, 1 or 2 months is gone. The Ferrari, if I default, is gone. So those are the pictures they see online. They really don't care about those ones. So as far as they are concerned, that's their luck. My luck is that I must get a Ferrari, I must get this. And then going out, are you really equipped for something? Because being a banker in Nigeria doesn't guarantee that you'll be a banker when you get to America. So maybe you need to retrain yourself and get new skills. So if you really want to Japa, don't go there just Japaing because you have a master's in banking or you've worked in the bank for 10 years in Nigeria. get a new skill, find out what you can do. So these are the things that anything you want to do, you must be intentional. You must be intentional that I want to succeed. I want to make the best of this. But what do I need to do to get to this point? So it's important. Not that I just want to go because everybody is going, I want to go. And because I've been a banker for 10 years, I have to go. No. I was talking to somebody that is working with City and Guilds. And a lot of Nigerian engineers are being retrained to get certification in City and Guilds to get employment. So and that's why it's important to really, information is important in everything you want to do. And don't necessarily follow all those lovely things you see online. The reality might be different. So really look for information, real information as to what you really want to do. But I believe there are more opportunities here in Nigeria. And we need to build our country as well. So it's and the young guys are doing wonders in Nigeria these days. There are a lot of young people that are doing good things.
Well, what do you say to the people who have the mentality that I will japa first, then I will go and hustle, I will make money? Because and sometimes you struggle to. It's true. Society celebrates the wrong things.
Yeah,
you
true.
know, our values have been so eroded. But these young people see these things, especially in this era of social media, which is
exactly.
a different conversation. Because I want to know whether you think social media has been more of a blessing or more of a curse, depending on.
It depends on where you are looking at it from. Is it half full or half empty?
Yeah.
So,
but what do you say to somebody who said, you know what, let me just go there first. I will hustle. Then I will come back and reinvest in Nigeria.
If that's what he wants to do. But you know what? If you're not careful, once you get in there, you get sucked into the system. So coming back might be difficult. Because it's like, oh my God, no NEPA problem, no water problem. Before you know it's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Time is going.
It's sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, we know of individuals who traveled a long time ago. Things are not right for them, and if you are close enough,
they don't want to go come back.
And they open up to you, or you travel, you see them, you're like, guy, why are you living here? Come back home now. And they're like, I can't come back.
Shame.
But
you shouldn't. You should just make up your mind that, because at the end of the day, you are on your own. It's about you. It's not about anybody else. So if you can't go forward, I beg, come back from where you're coming from and then make the best of what is available here. Because there are so many things that are happening now in Nigeria, honestly. But be skilled if you really want to go out. Be skilled. Don't just go like that, thinking that your paper qualification will make a difference. It's important to be skilled. I know one guy, he was a driver here. So he learned how to drive a truck. He learned how to do a forklift, all those things. So he was really ready for all those kind of jobs. And instead of still looking for paper job or office jobs, he was ready for the rough end to start. So it's important to and that's why I said information and your own intentions is important in handling some of these challenges in life, because they are challenges in life and there are decisions you have to make to survive. Yeah.
Coming back home, I saw an article, I think in the Punch, was it Punch or Vanguard? Let me see. I think it was a Vanguard article that I saw about you. I think it was one of these bilateral meetings you had with, I think, the government of the Philippines, and they were trying to figure out if Nigeria could help with their crude oil demands in light of the whole Russia, Ukraine. I think this was probably 2-3 years ago. And typical Nigerian ambassador with love for the country. Yeah, and then you say, yes, do you think Nigeria still has any serious relevance in the global sphere?
This is our time to shine. Already Dangote is selling crude petroleum to other African countries. So the truth of the matter is Nigeria is great. And I believe and I know that we shall be greater than this. So Nigeria you cannot just ignore Nigeria. That's the truth. You can't. On the world scene, you can't. You can't.
I like your confidence. And there are many who agree, which brings us also home. Like, as a woman, you've been following the news in Nigeria recently, and I know that as a diplomat, you have to be careful what you say and all of that. But there's been plenty of drama, people in power, the Senate. We just mentioned there are 4 people, and then all the whole drama of the accusations flying here and there. If you are in the foreign mission, and you hear all this saying, the accusations against the Senate president, and how one of the few women statesmen feel treated, or whether and the investigations will continue. We hope the investigations will continue to ascertain the veracity of these claims. But does it? Do you feel worried that some of these things are even happening at all?
No, I don't think. I think when there are people in a community, there will always be things that will pull and bring us together and pull us apart and bring us together, which will make us grow. So I think this is just, for me, it's a learning curve for everybody. Where are the wrongs? And like you said, investigations are still going on. They said they are going to review everything that's been said allegedly. So I think we should just leave a very open mind to see what we can learn from what is going on after the investigations. So I think that's my own, because the truth of the matter is that even for me, sometimes in the office, I said, did I do that thing right? Should I have done it the other way around? What have I learned? How can I improve? So I think it's a bit of, for me, it's everything in life is learning curve. Try to see what you can learn from every incident that's happened around you. And I think our democracy will grow in the process, because now said, you remember this happened 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So it's a journey. It's a journey.
I liked when you said this is Nigeria's time to shine.
Yes.
So something that you clearly you know of, you probably have experience, maybe personal, maybe shared experiences, which is racism, for the kind of racism Africans, Nigerians and other Africans have faced over the years, and the kind of systemic racism that still happens now. What's your thought on it?
It's interesting that you asked this question, because for me, racism could even be in the office. But most times we think because I'm black, that's why it's against me. No, even in the office, you might say that one is from that part of Nigeria. That one is up. It's all racism. So for me, I've learned to just be myself, give the best I can. Whoever is trying to do racism or whatever, just ignore them and be focused on what you want to do. Because the truth of the matter is, we can never all agree on everything.
True.
I know sometimes on a really larger scale, people, because sometimes when you think too much about all these things, it makes you not to give your best. You are caged. because you feel that even if I make a mistake, it's because I'm this, I'm that. They will say, oh, she's not this, she's not good, she's not that because she's black, But if you say no, and that's why I said Nigeria to the world, Nigeria is great. Some of our colleagues, when we were sitting, and they are talking about Nigerian footballers, there's always something good about Nigeria they talk about. So even when I get into a room, they know that she's here. Oh, okay, we haven't seen you in this days. Because there's something about Nigeria that is different. And there's something good. Because you yourself, you are coming from the point of view of being positive about your country. So for me, racism is there, is real, but I will ride over it because I will not let it pull me down. And I think that's the best approach. That's the best approach.
I really appreciate your outlook on many of these issues. I just want to push you a little bit more.
To the right, not to the left.
In this era of Donald Trump. And as an ambassador, what do you see? So Donald Trump is the American president, and as was the case during his first presidency, old alliances are questioned, shaken, new lines are drawn, and all of that is going on. I saw a video where an African said, in agreement with what you just said, this is Africa's opportunity. Don't take sides. Just work on yourself and get better. I know you elicit quite a positive outlook. Do you have concerns about global affairs and how it might affect your country on a general note in this area where there seems to be so much in terms of uncertainty?
That's a good one. But maybe, like you said, I always try to be positive about everything. Because even senior mother or our big sister in WTO said it, that this is Africa's time to shine.
Yeah.
If President Trump says this is what I want to do with my country, so the question is, what do we want to do with our country? So I think it's opportunity for us to really look inwards and to harness what we have, and on the global level, I don't know. You see, there's a lot of juggling going on between the EU and America and Canada. And I think right now, Africa should just watch and see what is going on that stage. And let's work together as a continent and really try to do things for ourselves. That's it, because at the end of the day, everybody's fighting for their survival. So it's now, what's your focus? So I think Africa should really come together, because they will want to divide us to be able to divide the resources that we have. We have so much. We have so much in Africa. But I think we shouldn't worry too much about what is happening in America right now. We should worry about developing and letting Africa come up and be a superpower, which we can.
On the home front, do you worry sometimes that there's a whole lot of ethnic tension going on in the country right now? I know you don't consume a lot of social media, do you?
I don't. I try not to.
Yeah, but for those who do consume social media, it's hard to see a time, peacetime, peacetime, when there is no war, when there is such divisive rhetoric, tribal divisions, especially online. And this, your Yoruba, your Igbo, Hausa, and all of that going on. Are you worried?
It's worrisome. It's worrisome because a lot of people, their daily Bible is the social media. So everything they read on social media is the truth. and nothing but the truth. So that's where I think there should be a way to regulate what goes on there. Honestly, I think there should be, because if we are not careful, we will just divide ourselves instead of coming together. Because I think the beauty of this nation is the diversity, which is a really beautiful thing if we can really harness it. But I'm worried about social media. And I think it's important for us to control social media and don't let social media control us. But because there are some people, they just sit in their sitting room and all they want to do is just to send something out that we just gain traction, and everybody is following them, and everybody is forwarding what is not true. So I don't know what we are going to do about that, because these are the signs of the times we are living in. I really don't know, but I think people should be very careful, and we should spread more love and not division, because that's the only way we can really develop our nation. Yeah.
Finally, let me just let me just prod you a little bit. You've sold Nigeria to over the years as an ambassador of the country, and I'm just thinking, if a global audience was listening to you, or a diaspora audience disillusioned with the country, Nigeria, and who feel there's nothing good about Nigeria, but I don't want to go back, I don't want to. If you needed to sell Nigeria, what words would it be? One. And the second part is current Nigerian government. And people have their varying thing. If you needed to sell both the country and its governance to an audience, what are the kind of things that you would like them to say? The kind of things you would like them to know? Perhaps some things about Nigeria that might be news to some of these global audiences.
Where do we start from? The first question was, how would you describe Nigeria?
Yeah, to a global audience, or to a diaspora audience that's disillusioned with the country. So there's a country as a whole, then of course there is this governance, the current governance of the country.
I will just say that Nigeria is a country that is very, very, very great, and on its way to being very, very, very great. With all the things, with all the challenges we have, all the challenges are the opportunities that we can turn around in our governance. And the truth of the matter, we are all the government, because it's people like you and I that are in government. So it's how much are you ready to sacrifice to make Nigeria great, to make Nigeria be that country that you want to live in, that you want to look like. So for me, Nigeria is a great country, and Nigeria will be greater than we are today. But we all need to work together. We all need to rise above the challenges we have and be sincere in dealing with the situations around us. I think it's really important that we put in our best anywhere we are, wherever, whether you are the messenger, whether you are the cleaner, anybody. Because it's a collective work that makes up a country, right from the airport, to the taxi driver, to everybody. So it's not about, we are the government, we are the people. We are the people.
Ambassador, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
It's been fun.
You've done a lot for this country, trying to foster economic bilateral relations between Nigeria and the countries you've represented Nigeria to, and we know that you've earned results and commendation, letters of credence over time in your work. I love your overall spirit, and sometimes you wish that more and more young people can imbibe that kind of to-do spirit.
Yeah, I think we need that. We really need to But the young people are doing as well, but they just have different challenges, but I know they are doing. I know a lot of people are doing. Let's see them, and they are doing. Kudos to Nigerian youth. Kudos to them. But just stay on the right side of law. Do the right thing. Don't get involved in all these things. And the sky is just the beginning, not the limit.
Thank you very much for your time, madam.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All the best in your future.
Thank you.